Hey guys, Frank with Tiny Plastic Spacemen here, and this video, we've got the legs! Yes, that's right, the legs are all built, almost completely. So, as you can see, we've done almost the entire lower body except for the armor panels. I'll get to that in a minute. I did have it a little bit backwards where I didn't actually build the feet first. In the instructions they actually have you build the hip first. So there's the big hip here with the big flat pieces, and if you can kind of look past these pistons, these ribbed pieces here are the pieces that you glue into this. And so basically, my first attempt wasn't all that good. The pose wasn't right. I wasn't happy with how it was like leaning really forward, and I couldn't get the top of the hip joint level, basically. I have a like sort of a T-shaped spirit level that sits on, there's one level that goes like this and one level that goes like that, if you can imagine two bubble levels like that. So basically I had my workspace, which was a TV tray. I set that to level, and once everything was all connected with two-part epoxy, it was all just really wobbly, and I had these clamps all over the place, and you can just look at the pictures. It was awful. It wasn't a pleasant experience at all to try and have these joints here. And remember, this was like sliding back because the hip is back heavy. These were all loose, and because this whole lower leg is in two sections, this was tipping forward while it was rotating here, and the ball in the bottom here was also rotating around. It was not pleasant at all. And for whatever reason, I don't know why, I probably mixed it wrong or just didn't follow the instructions, whatever, the 20-minute setting epoxy that I used just was not setting. I don't know why. So I basically gave up, started over, and went to using what I call CA glue, or super glue. CA is just cyanoacrylate. It's what the CA stands for. And everything went together fine after that. So I did have some issues with, if you look at the angle of this leg here, you see where all the weight kind of comes down this joint. And for whatever reason, this isn't molded in one piece. This piece here is separate from this piece here. You can see kind of a messy mold line there, join line. And so it took some effort to get this in one piece. So I would suggest, if you're doing this, glue these pieces together first, and then worry about gluing this to the, getting the connections correct. What I'm actually going to do is drill a connection rod, a 3mm hole basically, and put a brass rod right down the middle of this, so these are connected by a chunk of metal right down the middle, and then also through the knee, and then through the hips on both sides. Clip them off as close as you can, or grind them down, get the measurement, the length right that you need. Put them through, and then cover them with putty and never think of them again, because you're going to have plenty of strength going through everything. So yeah, on the second attempt, this is, now remember, I'm trying to keep everything level here, perfectly level, and I'll get to why in a second. But on the second attempt, it was still a bit, this leg was a little bit wonky, but the top of the hip joints were already set. I couldn't move them without smacking them with a hammer, literally, because that's how I had to get the hip joint off after my first attempt. So, but I was, because the glue I used is a medium thickness glue, this stuff here actually, which is really, really good. It's my favorite glue yet. I was able to kind of break the initial set of the glue and kind of just reposition it, and then just not mess with it until it completely cured all the way through. If you've ever played around with gluing stuff using gel glue, then you know exactly what I mean. So I was able to get this into a position where I was happy. And the owner of the model was happy, which is the important thing. These pieces are loose. They're meant to be loose. And let's see, what else after that? Yeah, once these were all glued, there is a little bit of gap filling I need to do. So you can see there the gap filling that I need to do. It's not terrible, but it will be noticeable if you look at it closely. So what else was there? On this particular model, the feet are flat. They're not going to be stepping on a Typhon or a Rhino or a Warhound or anything like that. They're just going to be just flat. The fella I'm building this for doesn't want anything special on the base. Maybe a little bit of wreckage or barbed wire or something like that, but nothing for, you know, like where you see lots of these Knights and Titans and whatnot. They're standing on things. This is not going to be standing on anything, so makes it a bit easier for me, and it'll be a much cleaner base. A little bit, you know, I think it looks a bit better like that. Now the final step is attaching all of these pistons. So you can see there the pistons. There's 10 of these smaller ones that go around, and then of course there's the 2 at the bottom. They weren't too hard to do. Basically, I did score the ends just a bit so that there was a little bit more purchase. But basically, it was put a dollop of gel glue in the hole where the piston goes, and then at each end, and that was it. It was pretty easy, really. And that's the final step of the lower leg pieces. The armor plating, as you can imagine, there's going to be a gigantic piece there, which I showed in the last video, and 2 pieces on either side of the lower legs, and then a big piece like that you might remember from the last video that sits across those. And then of course there's a crotchal piece, and then everything sits on top there. Now I mentioned the level. That is because there's going to be basically a lot of weight sitting on this thing, and I don't want to have anything tipped forward or back or to the side or anything like that. So with the weapons on the top and the weapons on the arms, it should be pretty level side to side, and I'm going to trust that the model designers have not made it like forward heavy or too rear heavy, because the hip is already rear heavy, but you can see that that big chunk of resin there, it kind of sits right in between the legs, pretty much right in between the feet. So yeah, it's you know, that I'm not too worried about that. I am just worried a tiny bit about the torso. So the next video is going to be basically just drilling the holes. Should be fairly straightforward. I probably won't show the actual drilling. I'll just show the aftermath with some tips or something like that. And then after that, I'll probably start working on the base. I might do just one video just about the base, because it's going to be a very large base, as you can see. Now there's the oval shape of the Imperial Knight Titan. Also I can't remember what, like the Wraith Knight sort of shaped base. It's a bit shorter and fatter oval. So I'll probably go with something, you know, fairly simple, not this oblongy shape or a square or just the feet on their own. Do want it to have a base, because, you know, there's going to be a lot of weight on this thing. And I'm also going to drill through the base, or I'm planning to drill through the base into the feet, so this is permanently attached, or as permanent as a you know, model can be. Speaking of drilling, the torso, I've built most of it so far, but I haven't attached the top yet because I'm actually going to bolt this using 3 or 4 bolts or screws right into the top, and then finish completing everything around it. So I think that's about it. If you have any questions or comments, be sure to leave them in the comments down below. Let me know what you think, and how you think the build is going. I'm sure you've seen pictures and videos of other people building theirs, so I'm all ears. Happy to listen to any suggestions that you might have. If you've enjoyed this series so far, please give us a like and subscribe so you can be notified of any new videos that come out. We're also on Facebook, of course. Just search for Tiny Plastic Spacemen, and of course on Instagram, where I'll be starting to post pictures of these on the Instagram feed. Just search for TPS Painting Studio. So that's it from, I think this is video number 5 already, and video number 6 and 7 and 8 and all that will be coming along very, very soon. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video. This thing is going to be huge.